Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Alan here, COO of the Institute of Clinical Excellence. Probably look a little bit different than the last time I was on here, I think. I think the last time I was on here, I still had my big winter beard, but it's me. So today we're going to talk about data, all things data, how you can get better at data collecting and what that can do for your organization. Before we get started, first of all, Spartans is zone tomorrow, 7:10 p.m., going all the way in the March Madness tournament. So let's talk about Virtual Ice. Virtual Ice is our online mentorship program. Right now, bi-weekly lectures, interaction in a private Facebook group with all of the faculty, talking about tough cases, elaborating more on stuff discussed in our lectures, and occasionally a nice bonus lecture on a hot topic. I just put one up last week about heart rate variability. So $29 a month, cancel at any time, 26 lectures a year. Registration closes Monday night, so I'll be closing it off Monday night when I go to bed, and then the next round will start, won't open again until June 26th. So Virtual Ice. Ice Sampler coming up in Vegas, April 7th and 8th. If you're not coming, you're missing out. All of our faculty are going to be there. 9 of them are teaching. The rest of them will be in the rafters. Just looking to connect and add stuff to what's already being presented, get in some nice workouts over the weekend, and generally come together and talk about all things physical therapy, all things ice. April 7th and 8th in Vegas. Modern Management Older Adult, second cohort starts March 26th, online, 8 weeks. Dustin Jones, Christina Previtt, can't miss this. I sat on the first cohort and audited the first cohort that just ended. Absolutely wonderful. Nice streamlined way to get up to date on all things older adult. And then final announcement is now we're on Spotify. So traditionally it's been troublesome, especially for Android users, to have a unified podcasting app, but now we are on Spotify, so you can get your music and your PT on Ice all through Spotify. So search for PT on Ice on Spotify. You'll find us. Follow the podcast, and you'll get updated when we post new episodes each day. So let's get into data. So it's really important to be tracking a lot of data. It doesn't necessarily have to be this time-consuming process if you do it right. And we know that data doesn't drive behavior, right? Showing somebody that their productivity is down doesn't change how productive they're going to be. Just handing them a printout of a spreadsheet won't change their behavior. But as an organizational leader, as a clinic director, manager, owner, it does help you guide decisions. It helps you be really objective, and it's really important in a lot of different ways that you're probably not tracking right now, but that I'm going to tell you about. So for those who don't know, one of the side hustles Jeff and I have, among what seems like never-ending amount, is we come into clinics and we consult for them, and Jeff does more of the clinical stuff, staffing and clinical efficiency and how is the clinic set up, and I do the data side. So I crunch the numbers for the clinics and kind of show them where their gaps are, and if they don't have any data to give me, that's definitely where their biggest gap is. So I help them dig deeper into the data and improve how they run their clinic. And so I'm going to share some tips that I've learned and some things that you need to be tracking to be more efficient in your practice. So most of your clinics are probably tracking things like visits and units and no-show cancellation rates. If you're not, please start. That's kind of the basics, the baseline to have going. But it can go beyond that. I think most clinics stop there. They hand those out every week and show people their numbers and just hope that they'll somehow become more efficient, more productive clinicians, but it goes a lot deeper than that. I think with that data, just that basic data, what you can look at is take those numbers and look at average visits per day across the whole clinic and average visits per clinician per day. And really, that will really tell you how busy are you really. Are you sustainably busy? Are you unsustainably busy? Take that number that you have and drop a clinician off the equation and recrunch the number. Is that now an unsustainable number of visits? If it is, you should be considering having somebody available like PRN or part-time. I'll tell you that we just ran into this yesterday at my own clinic. My boss called in sick. She said, hey, I have like 104-degree temperature. I don't feel bad, but I don't think it's responsible for me to come in. And all of a sudden, what looks like a sustainably busy schedule now becomes a rapidly unsustainable. And that's not in a situation you want to find yourself in ever, ideally, but definitely not often. So take those daily visits, those daily units, and see how busy are you really? Are you more busy than you can sustain? Are you tracking visits per eval? This is going to become so important. I can't understate how important this will become as this pre-authorization system in the traditional insurance model rolls out across the country. You want to be hitting 6 to 8 visits from eval to discharge, because I'll tell you, that's in a pre-authorization system, that's probably all you're going to get. If you're at 12 or 15 or 20, and I certainly understand there's situations, like in an outpatient neurological setting where you need to see people for that much longer, but in a traditional orthopedic setting, you want to be hitting 6 to 8 visits per patient, open to close. And if you're double that, triple that, tracking that number will help you look at yourself and your clinicians and see how you can bring that down, how you can get more efficient, where your gaps are at in your clinical reasoning or your treatment. If it's, is it you, is it the patient, is it both, that sort of thing. Are you tracking units per visit? Most clinics probably are. Are you hitting 4.5 per visit? I absolutely hate talking about units, but I think it's really important because I think a lot of us do underbill for our services. I see a lot of clinics where they're billing 1.5 to 3 units per visit, but they have somebody in the clinic for 75 minutes, and they're underbilling because they're nice, which I certainly understand, and I'm guilty of that myself. But you have to realize there's clinics out there that their goal is 7.2. They're absolutely, billing the hell out of people. So you should feel a little bit less guilty about trying to hit, 4 to 5 per visit. That's probably one of the biggest things I see is when I see a successful clinic where the owner says, I don't know why, I just don't seem to be making as much money as I think I do, and we crunch the numbers and the clinicians are billing 2 to 2.5 units for a 60-minute visit. And certainly with insurances like Medicare, if that is time that is the patient's being seen by a tech, you can't legally bill for it, but other insurances allow for that, and so you should be billing for that. Are you tracking PTO and con ed days, and are you using that to create actually a fully comprehensive picture of productivity? Because I think productivity is often tracked as just number of appointments you had versus number of appointments that actually showed up, and some percentage. But another big problem I see with especially hospital systems is they give out a lot of PTO time, and I'm looking through their data, and I'm seeing that their clinicians are on vacation 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and I always ask, is this maternity leave or is this actually vacation? And almost always it's actual vacation time. So these clinics are paying PTs to not be there 25% of the year, and they're saying, I don't know why we're not making any money. And I'm like, well, here it is. Here's their actual productivity when you account for how much time they have off. Somebody can't be 97% productive if they're gone 3 months out of the year. Just the math doesn't add up. And certainly people need some time off to spend with their families and go on vacations and all that sort of stuff. But when someone has gone 25 to 30% of the year on vacation, then I think you need to step back and say, is that too much PTO? Are we giving people too much time off? Especially if going back to the data of average visits per day and per clinician, if somebody's on vacation 30% of the year, who's covering for them? Are you now paying somebody else to cover for them, or are you just shoving that off on the other clinicians and burning your other clinicians out? And as we kind of get through this, you'll see how all this data is really intertwined, and it kind of builds off on each other, and it's this cycle where one part can affect all the other parts and kind of the whole nuts and bolts of your operation. Are you tracking failed eval arrivals? I think that's something I see almost no one track that's really important. Does somebody no-show the eval or cancel the eval and say they'll call back and reschedule, and they never do? If you're tracking that, then you should be following up with those people. Like, hey, what happened? Could we just not meet your schedule? Did something change? Are you feeling better? I mean, that's great if you're feeling better and you don't think you need physical therapy. But you should be following up with those people to see what happened, get them back on the books, find out what happened, find out if they just got scheduled at a time that didn't work for them, and you just need to look at the schedule and see where you can fit them in. And along that same vein, I'm going to talk a lot for the next couple minutes about Waitlist. What does your wait list look like? A lot of people love to brag about their huge wait list. My wait list is 6 weeks to see me. I am killing it so hard, you can't get in to see me for months. That's really dumb. That's really good for your ego, but it's really bad for business, and it's really bad for patients. How quickly a patient can get in and see you not only determines how sooner you can help them, but if you have a 3-week, a 4-week, a 5-week, a 6-week wait list, then that's money just sitting out there that you could have today instead of 6 weeks from now. And when we see people who have this giant wait list, they have 30 people on their wait list that are booking 6 weeks out. That's a caseload for another clinician that you could have. You could hire another provider and they could see those people. The patients can get seen sooner, and you can get that money in the bank sooner. It's a win for everybody. So don't. It's good to have a little bit of a wait list. It shows that people find value in what you do and they want to come see you. But a wait list that's 6-8 weeks long is too long of a wait list. You're harming patients, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But you're losing money. Not only that. So the metric we use to track that is called third best appointment. So when someone calls for an evaluation, the goal is to have them in evaluation within 72 hours, 100% of the time of when they call. That's the third best appointment slot. So if you're booking people 6 weeks out, you need to hire somebody else. Maybe you need to bring somebody on PRN or part-time and schedule maybe a small block of time each day and build up another provider's caseload. And the other benefit to that is that if you're a single clinician practice, the sooner you can bring somebody else on board, the better, because you don't want it to turn into the John or Jane Smith therapy show. Because what happens then is people only want to come see John or Jane Smith, and when you do eventually hire another provider, they have to do that much more work to build that therapeutic alliance and that patient rapport, because people are used to coming to see you and not this new person. I've spent the past 7 months or so climbing this hill myself, being now the second provider at a traditionally single provider practice, where there's times where I walk into the eval room and I go, hey, I'm Alan, I'll be your therapist. And they go, oh, you must be new. I say, yeah, I'm new. And they go, oh, is Stacy here? I think I'd rather see Stacy. That's killer. That destroys the relationship both ways between patient and provider. And the sooner you can get somebody else on board and overcome that, the better. And then it becomes, whatever your name is, physical therapy, not just, hey, Steve's physical therapy, I go and see Steve. My dad saw Steve. I saw Steve. My kids see Steve. I want to see Steve. It becomes this practice where everyone here is good, and it doesn't matter who you see here, you're going to get better, and that's better for business overall, and it helps you scale, more importantly. So when you have that long wait list, the likelihood that someone is going to go see your competitor is high, right? If they call and you say you can't get in for 6 weeks, they go, well, I'll just go somewhere else. That's obviously bad for business, but maybe they go see another healthcare provider, another allied health professional, that puts some bad beliefs in them, or maybe they don't see anybody and they just keep taking their opioids, or they go back to their physician and they get some more injections, or maybe they get a consultation for a laminectomy or a lumbar fusion, or maybe they start doing heroin for their pain and maybe they die. And that's, I think, Jeff talked about this last week, two sides to the do no harm coin. This is the under treatment side, not being able to get people in as soon as they need to get in, and all the things that are associated with that when they're kind of just floating around the healthcare system aimlessly looking for an answer to their problem. All that stuff that can happen to them is on you, because you like to have that 6-week waiting list, because you like to talk about it on Twitter or Instagram, right? So we can cause a lot of harm to the people in our community by not tracking this data and not understanding that we need to get people in as soon as possible. Julie Fritz, great researcher, University of Utah, tons of research about, kind of the Get PT First model, just published an awesome paper at the end of last year about rapid access PT and the positive effects it can have on a healthcare system and health in general, where they went through a hospital-based outpatient system where each clinician got a rapid access PT slot on their schedule each day, where people could schedule, ideally get in same day as they called or within 24 hours, and get PT as soon as they possibly could before they trip and fall and get a back fusion or a laminectomy somewhere else in the healthcare system. If you truly want to practice this PT 2.0, if you truly want to be health-facing, if you truly want to make an impact, you need to be able to see people the same day or the next day, or definitely at the very bare minimum within 72 hours. If someone's in 10 out of 10 pain and they want to see what you can do to help them, if you can say, hey, Bob, I can see you at 2 p.m. today. How does that sound? I've got some stuff that I know I can calm your pain down really quickly, and we'll see what's going on, and we'll get you moving again. Because Bob, tweaked his back yesterday chopping wood, then that's the way to do it. And even better than that, if you can get into the employer space and see these people even before then, before they even enter the healthcare system, that much better. We know the cost savings of getting upstream of this stuff is enormous. The average cost of a work comp, someone who goes to the emergency room from work for work comp is $40,000. So if you can get somebody in same day, next day, because you have a short wait list, and save everybody tens of thousands of dollars, then that's all the better. So when can you start tracking this? When should you start tracking this? Tomorrow is ideal. Today would be better. It should become, if you're not already doing it, if someone at your clinic isn't already doing it, it should become just part of the daily tasks that either you do as the clinic manager, owner, or maybe your admin does. It doesn't have to be a daily thing. We do ours Monday morning. The admin comes in an hour early and crunches all the numbers from the previous week, and it helps to just do it throughout the week. A lot of times these people are already entering things like units and visits for insurance purposes into the computer, so it's not that much more of a time ask to have them throw them into a spreadsheet as they're doing the billing and coding. So get data driven. It makes decisions easier, it makes decisions objective, and it lets you know if your clinic is operating as efficient and it's helping people as much as you think it is or not. And it makes you able to help people get better sooner, especially with having a shorter wait list, bringing more providers on, and helping turn this whole thing around. So that's it for today. Have an awesome Thursday. Go green. See you guys in 3 weeks. We'll talk about tax stuff. Really boring, but we'll talk about tax stuff. Have a great day.